Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. What was that?
I don't know.
Open wide, baby.
Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and as requested by many of you in the comments, today we're exploring vampires, the 1998 adaptation of John Steakley's novel of the same name by John Carpenter. The master of horror specifically wanted to avoid the stereotypical brooding vampire tropes, and instead make the vampires brutal savages. He succeeded. The monsters featured in the film have many similarities to their folklore counterparts. They're vicious, bloodthirsty, vulnerable to stakes through the heart and sunlight, but they don't turn into bats, and both crosses in garlic have no effect on them. Still, they look like your typical vampires, featuring retractable fangs that emerge from their gums, allowing them to rip out the throats of their prey, clammy looking skin, and a touch of supernatural allure. In addition to their immortality, the creatures also have a number of powers, including enhanced speed, strength, agility, flight, and senses, enabling them to smell humans and vampires over long distances. Once a vampire has your scent, they pretty much have it for life. They also have the ability to see in pitch darkness, and are at their strongest at night, so good luck hiding. Their blood is especially infectious, and all it takes is for a human to feed on vampire's blood, or vice versa, enabling the transmission of vampirism to occur. On the plus side, they have amazing regenerative abilities, and provided they have enough blood to feed on, they can heal from most wounds quickly.
Alright, we think we got a nest inside this place. Figure on at least 6 goons, maybe more, and chances are we'll find a master in here somewhere. So it is strictly by the book today, gentlemen.
In the film, they appear in ranks. At the bottom are the thralls, the most common and weakest variant. Basically, people who've been bitten by a vampire, but weren't totally drained of blood. As a result, they don't transform, but are still under a master's influence. It's not a great life. Most thralls end up being toyed with by their masters for fun, before eventually having their life force drained. Next are the goons. They're essentially feral and will stop at nothing to quench their thirst for blood. Next are the typicals, who appear to be like normal humans and can think for themselves. They're stronger than goons too, capable of ripping humans apart, regenerating their wounds, and have heightened agility. The most powerful of all, though, are the masters and mistresses, who possess incredible strength, are invulnerable to everything except sunlight, and possess the power of hypnosis. The masters essentially keep a nest of goons and typicals under their control, and together they stealthily prey upon humans, doing their best to keep their existence a secret.
Hello, Jack. Your war is over, Crusader.
The primary antagonist in the film is Relic, the strongest master of them all. A former Catholic priest who turned his back against the church in 1311 AD, Relic is the first known vampire, and thus the progenitor of their species. The church essentially attempted to perform an exorcism on Relic, but the ritual went horribly wrong. Instead, his body died, and his twisted soul remained trapped within it, turning him into a master quasi-dead vampire. In this world, groups of bounty hunters are hired by the Roman Catholic Church to bring them down. The teams coordinate their attacks expertly, dispatching groups to infiltrate nests in the daytime when they're weakest, using anything from machine guns, crossbows, to spears, all blessed by a priest. Any vampire that isn't staked to death gets harpooned and dragged out into the sun to burn. It's very brutal. Jack Crow's team are especially proficient at this. His lieutenant Tony Montoya and the rest of the crew had just successfully polished off a group of vampires and are ready to enjoy a night of partying to celebrate. But Jack can't shake the feeling that something wasn't right about the job they just pulled, as the nest was without a master. These concerns are realized when Valak shows up and single-handedly massacres the team. Crow manages to escape with Tony and decides to save the bitten Katrina, reasoning her newly established psychic link to Valak can be used to track him down. After disposing of his team's bodies to make sure they don't turn, Jack visits Cardinal Alba, who recounts Valak's backstory and explains that he's the only vampire slayer to have survived an encounter with the all-powerful master. Told to assemble a new team, he's instructed to bring Father Adam Gateau, a vampire scholar, to assist them. It turns out, Valak is looking for an ancient Black Cross of Berziers, which will complete his failed exorcism, giving him immunity to sunlight. With time running out, they track Valak down, but are outnumbered by his forces. With daylight waning, he overwhelms the hunters, capturing Jack, while Katrina bites Tony, forcing Adam to hide nearby. Jack then awakes and discovers that the Cardinal had betrayed them. He's essentially had a crisis of faith and now craves the lure of immortality, which is great for Valak as the ritual can't be completed without a priest. Luckily, Alba's yearn for power is squashed pretty quickly by Adam, while Jack rams the cross into Valak's chest and pushes him into the sunlight. With Tony and Katrina now on their way to becoming a vampire master and mistress, he gives them a 2-day head start before he has to begin hunting them down. Interestingly, there was an earlier draft of the screenplay that included a vampire pope and took place in a high-tech future, which I honestly would have loved to have seen. This was going to be directed by Russell McCallie and star Dolph Lundgren as Jack, but studio conflicts and a reduction in budget led to their departures. Some elements of the early drafts were then recycled for 1996's Silent Trigger. God, I miss the 90s. Ultimately, James Woods, while an odd choice for an action hero, is great as the lead here, and improvised most of those snappy one-liners Crow delivers.
Jack.
Come on, 5 minutes and you can bite my ass a little. Would you like that? See me all tied up, huh?
What will silence you?
By the time that Carpenter signed on to the film and began production, the budget had been cut from $60 million to $20 million. But that didn't get in the way of the creative team doing some amazing work. Makeup effects supervisor Greg Nicotero, who we've discussed on previous videos, jumped to the challenge of making vampires as gory as he could.
Classic horror movies, the old Universal classics, they never showed anything. It was all mood and atmosphere, and that's what made those films scary.
Explosives were used for the scenes where vamps burned in sunlight, and the stunt coordinators essentially had to strap stunt people in fireproof clothing before shooting off an explosion. Then they'd cut and replace the actor with a dummy. A time-consuming and dangerous effect, sure, but damn do those vamp deaths look awesome. Vampires didn't have a great box office run. While it did great during its opening weekend, it went from number 1 at the box office to number 8 within the week. This hot and cold response to the film extended to the extremely mixed reviews, with vampires showing up on both the best and worst movie lists of 1998. Regardless, it's still a fun movie. As always, Carpenter makes some audacious choices. Plus, you really can't go wrong with people getting ripped apart and cheesy lines like this.
How do you like your steak, bitch?
With that said, of course, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about the film, so please share that in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, come join our regular streams on Twitch, and yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film and Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.